was kind of informal. Anybody that knows Dave, our new Dave, that he was very informal himself. And anytime you see me standing up here and emceeing this, you know they couldn't get anybody else, I'm afraid. Scraping a bottom of the barrel, but I had to come for Dave. There's just no, same reason everyone else is here. I'm Jeff Reese. I'm the past president of the Houston Peace and Justice Center. Bill graciously is the new president. And, I'm not going to talk about me because we're here to talk about Dave. And so everybody knew him better than I did, unfortunately, because I got here a little bit late. But right now, we have some lovely ladies that are going to come dance. And Martina Rafaldo, where are you, Martina? Please, I want to have Martina come up here and introduce yes, the dancers, if you will. Yeah, are they ready? Oh, no, we're doing a video first.
We're going to get
right? No, you can sit on there. So we're live.
Oh, absolutely. See, now you know why I'm up here and I'm last. So we're not going to do that. I'm glad everyone told me that. That's so good. All right. Instead of that, Pastor, where are you at, Pastor? You're going to start it off. I do apologize. Correct what I just said. They're going to be dancing a little bit later.
Okay.
You don't want me dancing for you, that's for sure.
I feel bad I haven't really done much except to do that transfer.
My name is Lee Lieber. I am the transitional pastor here at the Houston Mennonite Church. I've lived in a variety of places. Grew up near Chicago, Illinois, and have lived in different places as I've pastored, and it's good to be in Houston among you all. I want to invite you as we been feverish activity here getting the tech together. We may have it, but we may have some glitches along the way and people arriving. I want to invite us to take a deep breath and be quiet for a few seconds to kind of center ourselves and to be present here in this place with each other. Can we do that? And the guy with the cowboy hat walks in. Welcome. In the Gospel of John, in the Christian tradition, there's a verse, first few verses talk about God's light, lighting each person who comes into the world. We have a couple of candles lit over here. I hope they evoke kind of the memory of the presence of David and Priscilla Atwood. I did not know them at all. I don't know if I ever met them. I'm fairly new to Houston. But I'm delighted to be with this group of people who some of you are recognized from different activities in the city and here at the church that we participated together in. Houston Mennonite Church has been around since the mid-60s, started out as a house church. The Mennonites are a group, a movement that started in the early 1500s. Next year we celebrate 500 years of the Anabaptist Mennonite movement. It was a movement for peace, movement for justice, a movement to help people who are feeling oppressed. Then we continue that tradition in many ways here at Houston Mennonite Church. I came into the Mennonite Church about 40 years ago as a Vietnam veteran, a part of Veterans for Peace, and I appreciate the witness of peace that Houston Mennonite Church continues to shine in this community and in many other places. The previous pastor here was called the Peace Pastor. He wrote a column for the Chronicle, and maybe some of you remember him and participating with him in various ways. Today we are here to honor the lives of David and Priscilla Atwood. His son and family are here, and we welcome them. And our love and our prayers are with you as we go through this, as you go through the time of feeling the loss, but also as you celebrate a life that has been lived well. In the Gospel of John, Jesus got up from the table and took off, put a towel around his waist and washed his disciples' feet. Kind of the central theme, I think, of being following that way of life is to serve others. And it sounds like your parents did that well in various ways, served various causes, helped lift people up, spoke for those who didn't have a voice, and we appreciate that. I think many of you here are involved in various causes, and we appreciate that. And I think it's good to take time to appreciate the lives and the actions and the principles, perspective, and the faith of those who have walked that journey and walked it well. And so we pray for God's blessings upon this gathering as we share memories, as we share with each other, as we gather as a community to remember these fine people. Can I have a prayer with you? God, we thank you for your love, for your grace, for your mercy, for calling us to lives of justice and peace and action. And we give thanks for these lives that we remember today and pray that as we remember their lives, we will be encouraged, we will be uplifted, and we will find new strength for the journey. We pray in the name of the ones who taught us how to live a life of love and a life of peace. Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. I have no idea what comes next because the MC has all the information. And you're up.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Pastor. All right. Next, we're going to hear from Dave's son, Michael. So Michael will come up here and share with us.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to this memorial for my parents. It means a great deal to my family. I really don't have anything that's pre-prepared, but I just wanted to come and thank everyone for remembering my parents, remembering my mom and my dad. Peace and the pursuit of nonviolence was a big passion for my father. He spent, the latter part of his life focusing on that. And my mom loved my dad a lot. My dad certainly loved my mom, and my mom at some point was actually kind of forced to go along with my dad's hobbies. That's kind of what happened in this case. It became her passion later in life too. They both, I think, came to really appreciate the community, the Houston Peace and Justice Center and the various causes they were working on in the Texas Coalition to abolish the death penalty. But I think the people that belong to those organizations really meant so much to them, and it means so much to see you all here because I know you're all friends and family to my parents in your own right, and they loved all of you, and it just means a great deal. My dad really was passionate about helping people. I would say that he's probably a humanist in the most purest sense, that he didn't care, what your background was, what you've done in the past. Your ethnicity, color, gender, religion, none of that was ever important. My dad, he just saw people as people. And I think that in the world we're in now, it's really hard to see that because I feel like there's so many forces trying to separate people in different groups. My dad never saw anybody like that. He just saw people as people. And he felt that everybody deserved compassion, everyone deserved help. And that's what he really tried to do. Is he really just wanted to make the world a better place, and he focused on that. My mom, my dad's passions became my mom's passions, and they were very passionate about peace. They were very involved here locally in Houston, various causes, and kept up on politics and things like that, and they were, very conscious. They were very conscientious when it came to how the world was functioning. And that just became something that was a focus of theirs. And they instilled that in their children. My dad was very focused on immigrant rights, marginalized communities, vulnerable communities. So that was something that was so important to them. And I think they tried their best to help as many people as they could while they were here, and seems like they've inspired a lot of people, and they definitely had a big community here of people that shared the same passion. So it just means a lot that you're all here, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. This is great. I did have something I wanted to share, and this is a prop that I brought. So my dad, at one point, when they started trying to clean out their house, would sometimes come by my house randomly and drop off bags of books. So they had lots of books. My dad loved to read, and he read books all the time. He was a very well-read person. He was he had a master's degree. He was a chemical engineer by profession. Worked for Shell for 20 or 30 years, but he was very self-educated. He read all the time, and he was a big reader, up until, his final days was always reading. So in one of these bags of books, I found this book that he dropped off, and I don't know who this author is. His name is Dennis Whaley. And there's this book, it's called Seeds of Greatness. And so I was flipping through the book, and my dad had made notes, and I think he did that in most of his book. You'll see him scribble little words and notations here and there. And it looks like in one of the chapters here, there is a part where it's like kind of like a self-evaluation, or kind of like, well, what do you want to do with your life? And so it has these statements, and then it has you fill in what you want to do. So I'll read what the statement is, and then how my dad filled it in. So the first one says, one goal I really want is, and he fills in, build a nonviolent world. And this book is old too. I don't know. I mean, this is probably 20, maybe 30, 40 years old. So this tells you a little bit about my father's mindset back then, quite a while ago. If I had a great deal of money, I would, and I think what he wrote, it's kind of small print, start a center for nonviolence. I would like to be the kind of person who builds peace. That was his answer. A place I would like to visit is USSR or China. So that's what makes me think this was a long time ago. I think this was, Cold War era when he wrote this. My life would be better if I didn't have to pay bills. And if you knew my dad, he was, usually a very cheerful guy. You really never saw him in a bad mood. Even as kids, we never really saw him in a bad mood. But the only time where he really, truly was in a bad mood was when he was sitting down paying bills. He did not like to pay bills. If I had the time, I would work full-time on peace. And he made that happen. He pretty much retired from Shell early. Started working with the various causes. The Texas Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty, I think, was the big one he started with, and kind of branched out from that. But peace was his passion, and very few people follow their passion in life, and he definitely had the opportunity to do that. And it meant a great deal to him to be able to work on these various causes. And I just want to say thank you to all the people that are here that helped him with that, or continuing that. even though he's gone. He would have loved to see you all here today. I mean, it just would have made him so, so happy. And thank you so much for everything. Thank you for all the organizers, Sophia, Bill, Crozier, his wife, and the other people who organize this that, you know, I don't know personally, but it means so much to my family. Thank you so much. Also want to say this is my wife, Christy. She's from Mexico. My dad was Latino culture. So. love my wife.
Thank you very much for that. Your dad was a great man, and the reason everyone's here is because of his life. And, you know, maybe he did a lot that he didn't realize he did, and I know he helped me a whole lot. So, I was a cop, by the way, when I first met your dad, and we had a nice discussion about the death penalty, and he changed my mind about the death penalty. So, anyway, I digress. So, the next, Sophia. Thank you very much. I judged my career by how many people I didn't put in jail. So that's no one wants to, you know, you heard that. Dave also was very instrumental in criminal justice reform. And there's Johnny Mata, who's the back, one of the big civil rights icons, and Dave stood shoulder to shoulder to do a lot of things here in Houston. But I digress. And Sophia, would you like to come up?
Hi, everybody. My name is Sophia Morrow. I guess I've known the Atwoods, well, David and Priscilla for like 20 years.
Might want to go closer to the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Okay. All right, so my name is Sophia Murray, and I am, I've known David and Peggy for about 20 years plus, and it was got me involved in the Texas Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty. And as you guys know, David and Peggy kind of made friends and family wherever they went. In addition to their beautiful family that Michael's here to represent, he had lots of friends and families across the world. And we've had some technical problems, but we do have, I think, an audio live from Italy, from the Italian Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty. So they can't hear or see us, but I'm going to text them right now, and I'm going to ask Ariana if she can talk, and let's hope you guys can hear her.
Kind of patch this together. Yeah.
They have another version of Windows that doesn't run the latest version. Okay. And Zoom doesn't share. Don't know why. It just says error message 5 or something. And I brought my laptop, but I didn't have my cable, so somebody used him when I couldn't do it.
Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your patience, everybody.
There you go.
Good. So, this is Ariana of the Italian Coalition. I am so glad to be here today to honor the life and legacy of David and Peggy Atwood, two extraordinary human beings who were not just members of the enlarged human rights community, but also its backbone, its heart, its soul. I met them about 30 years ago when I decided to go to Huntsville to visit a friend of mine on Texas death row for the first time. They were a gorgeous couple. They loved each other deeply and they loved their family so much. But they also put into practice the Bible verse, love your neighbor as yourself, every single day. Their unconditional love for humanity was real, and it was immediately clear to me. And with them, I felt at home in every sense, from the very beginning. Our hearts and minds were always in the same place. They were like family to me, the family you choose. Without fear of contradiction, I can say that they were people of extraordinary generosity, of unwavering dedication, and of boundless compassion. They were fierce defenders of human rights and devoted much of their life promoting human in Texas and abroad. They deeply believe in the strength of unity, the power of kindness, and the beauty of community. Their lives were a testament to their values. Their actions are reflections of their hearts. Their legacy attributes to their spirit. Peggy loved nature, wildlife, and animals so much. She loved being in nature in Colorado, and their family home in Houston was always full of beautiful pets. Anka, Cody, Bella, Stella, just to name a few. She was like a women's version of St. Francis of Assisi. She was adorable. David was a tireless campaigner for human and social rights. Capital punishment, prisoners, workers, immigration, and a lot more. Wherever the rights of a person were violated, there he was. David and I worked on so many issues together, and we achieved many results. He taught me so much, and I owe him a lot. However, our biggest dream, that is the abolition of capital punishment, has not yet come true. But I promise I will keep working on that until my last breath. I miss them every day. I miss them so very much. They were such an important part of my life. And I am so grateful as I know that I am a better person for having known them. I think we all are. Now, rest in power, dear American mom and dad of mine. We will meet again. I do not know where, I do not know when, but I know we will meet again some sunny day. I love you. I'm sorry. Being here to honor my American parents. Thank you so much. I thank you all.
I think we have the Vice President of the Coalition who's going to speak also, so let me just double check. Okay, I think it's just going to be Arnie. We can turn this off now. We won't get feedback. And before I start, I just, we have a video that we wanted to show you that has memories of, and I know all of you, I know so many of you because you're in the video that I made with pictures from throughout the years. So it's nice to actually see faces that match. I've been looking at that for about a week. It had a lot of David's favorite songs, so we'll try to figure out a way, maybe we can upload it to the website, or find some way to get it to you through YouTube. We do have one other statement that I want to read. Sister Helen
What to
Priscilla.
say about David? David was a special person, a man with a capital U. One of those who will never fall again. A faithful, reliable husband, a person you can always count on, a man with big values who gave us only great example of life to his children and to all of us. I say to all of us because for us he was a brother and also a grandfather from for example, when he was very little. I met him when I just turned 22, so I was very, very young. And with his beautiful laugh, he had already won my heart.
In good time, I learned to know and appreciate it. He always gave us good advice. He supported us in the activity of our association. He always protected us because he was capable to filter with all the people with whom we were in contact. And it was very important for us and for all the people that we followed here in Italy. Over the years, he has been a constant presence in our lives. We had experienced some beautiful moments, both in Texas and also in Italy, because we were family behind volunteering. He took us and we took him around to share our culture, our way of living, and even our food. And we spent a lot of good times eating, and even today, also my whole parents remember him because he was a member of our family, of our big family of the Italian coalition, because we are all family. I'm sure he is in heaven. I'm sure with Peggy, and I'm sure that Ariana, like Ariana said, one day we will be all together again. And we will continue to carry his teaching with us and pass them to our children. Thank you.
Okay, so that was Michaela, who was the vice president. I was the president. Are we out? Okay. So, as I was saying, Dave is my number one favorite activist to abolish the death penalty. My number two favorite is Sister Ellen Prejean. And she could not be here today, but she sent a statement that it is my honor to share with you guys. She writes, David was one of the kindest human beings I've ever known. In the bleak desert sands of Killer, Texas, David was a bright green oasis of kindness, compassion, and fierce passion for human rights. He befriended not only those who were condemned to die, but their families as well. And so many of us who came to Texas to do our small part to end state killing. David and Priscilla were a beautiful team. I am so glad they had each other. Thank you, Dave, for all you taught us, especially in season and out of season, faithfulness to the cause of human rights. In our hearts, you will shine forever like a star for all of eternity. Sister Ellen Prejean. Okay, I think it's important to know that the reason Sister Helen could not be here with us today is that she is spending every single moment she has right now trying to save the life of Ivan Cantu. Ivan is sitting on death row right now, and unless there is a stay of execution, the state of Texas will murder Ivan on later this month. So she's exactly where Dave would want her to be rather than to be here with us. And I just would like to add, while I have such a beautiful room of social activists here captive, that Dave would also want each of us to be doing whatever we can to assist Sister Helen in her fight. A judge granted a stay of execution for Ivan last year because of strong evidence of innocence, and we need to get that done again. Please reach out to your elected officials. Please contact the Collin County District Attorney's Office. Please reach out with any media contacts you may have. Use your social media, your emails, your text messages, and spread the word. Please talk to your friends and encourage them to do the same thing. And if you have funds, please donate to Sister Helen's organization. And one last thought, while we have only days to say bye and can too, there are 179 men and women sitting on death row just here in Texas, and they also need our help. Today we have watching via the stream from France, my good friend Nadine, whose husband Eugene Broxton has been sitting on death row for 30 years. Eugene is in the middle of an evidentiary hearing, which is introducing DNA that supports his claim to innocence. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Also, sitting right here with us is, one's on the phone? Come up here with me. No? No? You want to stay there? Okay. So Yancy and her husband Juan is actually on the phone with her from death row. Juan is sitting on death row. And this is despite evidence that someone else committed the crime. I wish I had time to tell you every single name of the persons that are sitting on death row, but we're talking way too many, and they're not going to give you enough time to stay up here. And they all deserve our help. So just lastly, please help keep David's dream of abolishing the death penalty alive. Dave's already done the hard part, you guys. All we have to do is walk in his footsteps. So, thank you.
Okay, now there's a song, have we played the song yet? It's a song, Bella Ciao. Another reason why I'm last in the bottom girl, I need an MC. What happened?
I need to instruct them to say for glory for that.
Okay, so we're not doing that. Okay, you're right. Our team's up.
Hi, everybody. I know if David were here, he was laughing about this. I know. And I'm not Tina Nipaldo. I'm a director of Alianza Latina International, one of the Latin organizations. I guess it was the only one, Latin organizations David joined. He was our co-founder. But right now, he loves the Latino community. He loves the immigrant community. And that's the reason I will talk something about him later on, but for now I want to introduce these beautiful ladies. They're gonna dance in his memory and pagan memories because they love the folkloric, they love the Latino, they love the Mexican dresses and dance and food and everything. So they come to join us today with two songs. It's going to be
El Son de la Negra
El Son de la Negra
y Jarabe Tapatío.
Jarabe Tapatío. I know you know what it's going to be. Thank you. Okay. You can go with this song.
Well, appropriately, the next person up is a young man named Johnny Mata. And Johnny, come on up. And this is the head of the Greater Coalition of Greater Houston Coalition for Justice.
Boy, that's a hard act. Oh. I don't wear a dress. I'm not good looking like again, beautiful. And I don't know how to dance. So, let's give him another warm applause. You know, Dave Atwood was a fascinating person, and so was his wife. Did they make a team? Yeah, for 61 years. And I can tell you, Dave and I spent many hours with the coalition. And the Greater Houston Coalition for Justice is our 25th anniversary this year. And David was one of the founders. And it was the spirit, his spirit, and the spirit of many people that are members of the coalition, that through perseverance, the grand jury was changed, and many others. Where is Jeff? Come and stand over here. I mean, you know, you've been part of it. Where's Bill? Let's stand over here because we've got to make a presentation. It's important to have as many members. So having said that, there's many organizations that are doing a fantastic job, but our vision was to do institutional change. And that was what the grand jury was. And it fit in with the mission of David's group in regard to the death penalty. I don't have to tell you some of the horrible stories that just came out on experimental drug or something on the last death sentence. So I invite the representation of the coalition to come in because I would like to see his and the organization's dream come true to abolish the death penalty. So I will tell you very briefly, there's so many people want to speak. David was Catholic, for some of you that know, and so am I. And when he started, I said he was an altar boy. Then later he would brag that I promoted him to a bishop. And then for some reason he was out for a while, so he got demoted, and he told me so. He demoted himself. And we had this ongoing thing about conduct and being demoted and being promoted. And before he got ill, I said, Dave, you're in good graces now. You're now back in the status of bishop. And so I can never forget him. He was an inspiration. He was a down-to-earth person. And that's what it takes. The quality of people in our organization are fantastic. I would like to, at this time, have the family to come in, and we did a resolution in memory of him. And yes, here you go. I would like the members, you want to get on this side?
Who's better than I am?
Yes. Make a resolution. Tammy, just read just the intro part of it, it's not out of it.
Where Dave Atwood
was a strong supporter of the Greater Houston Coalition for Justice and served as vice chair as well as treasurer. And the 1-year anniversary of his death is an appropriate occasion for members of the Greater Houston Coalition for Justice to reflect on his life and service for justice for all in the criminal justice system.
Thank you very much. That's fantastic. My mom would love the fact that you put a much younger picture. I think it's a graduation picture from nursing school. She loves that. So.
But you're missing something there. You notice that your mom is looking at David.
Oh, yeah.
And now that they're in heaven, I figured she still needed to look at David because David did a lot of little back behind messages. So I did it that way so she can keep an eye on it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to let the other members say a few words because he was well loved, and you know, I could go on and talk about him all day, but it was this quality of people that made the coalition. We did not originate just as another organization, but to deal with social change. Right now, you know, we've changed the grand jury. We're looking at the jail situation. We're looking at a conference because the caseload is normally for people that cannot afford it. So the system needs to change. And the death penalty and everything else, because we're all children of God, and we should hate each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. To God goes all the glory and praise in his precious son's name, Jesus Christ, for the lives of Dave and Priscilla Peggy Atwood. I am honored to be here to share with you what Dave Atwood and Priscilla meant to our community. I would call Dave, it wouldn't matter if he was in Colorado handling a family issue there with his son, wherever he would pick up the phone. That's the kind of community leader Dave was, community supporter. And I am inspired by his life, by his work to promote justice, peace, and standing up. When you talk about action, they moved. He moved. And that's why we are privileged to stand up today to acknowledge the work, the service that he gave to his community. And more importantly, Micah, I know you already know this, to his family. Whenever he was dealing with issues in the community, his family would come first. And he would say, Tammy, I'm gonna tell you what to do, but I gotta do so and so. And it would be something that he had to do for his family. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be there. I'll be there, you know, with you in spirit, but I won't be able to be there with you physically. So you can rest and know that you had a warrior for a father, someone that set the example for you. The legacy that he left for all of us is incredible. But when you stand first and foremost, as God would have you to, for your family, you set an example for all of us. Because if all of us stood first and foremost for family, then the world wouldn't be in the condition it would be in because we would have somebody fighting for those who are vulnerable because their family will be standing for them. So today, I just want to acknowledge Dave and Peggy and say to all of you, remember them in your actions and your fight for justice. Thank you.
Okay, one quick story about the family. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Oh, unfortunately you can't. Okay, I'll keep going. I was an instructor and I taught at the Harris County Sheriff's Department Academy, and I taught crisis intervention, which is a way of peaceful solution to an issue instead of resorting to violence. And I told Dave, I said, we were talking about it, I said, I always show an insert of this movie called Patch Adams, based on a true story. That's when he told me the true story of his version of Patch Adams. He told me how Peggy, I guess she was a nurse or doctor, and yeah, when they were here in Houston, they had a clinic going, an underground clinic themselves, just like in the movie. And they saw people that couldn't afford to pay a doctor. And their whole house was converted into a clinic. And no, I didn't know that. I had no idea. I'm sure not. That was the way Dave was. He didn't want to be praised. He didn't want to be known for doing good. He just did good. And there were so many times we got a phone call, and Dave says, "Hey, I can't make it. The mayor wants me to sit with him in the float in the MLK parade." And I said, "Dave," he says, "Can you do it?" I said, "No, they don't want me. They want you. They don't want the president of an organization. They want you." And so, of course, I showed up, but I didn't sit with the mayor, of course. So that's my story, and I'll keep going with the program. Bill, do you want to say anything or not? You don't have to.
Because, David and Peggy were such an inspiration to all of us, and I hope we can all do whatever we can to help fulfill his and her vision for a world that's just and fair for everybody.
Thank you very much. And just as a note, Dave is a very hard act to follow, but the coalition is going to carry his memory for as long as we can. Thank you.
Martina, where are you? Are you coming up, or are you done? You coming up? Okay, come on up.
I just want to say something about David and our organization. And I will Francisco because he loved Francisco. For everything he called Francisco, he needs to fixate whatever he needs Francisco. He always was looking for Francisco. I met David and Peggy on maybe 14 years ago. I met him when I don't have no organization at all. And I talked to him I met him on a janitor's protest when they was trying to renew the contract. I met him there, and I know a lot of people here know me because we came for a long way together. And I talked to him and I said, David, I would like to open a Houston Immigrant Center. And he said, go Martina, go. It's allowed the immigrant community, is the community more vulnerable, and they don't have no much services, and they don't have no respect, and no justice or nothing. And I said, David, but it's not easy. So let me keep on going. And I was working on the junior for a long time. And then he found me again and said, Martina, you need to open your organization. And I said, David, I really can't. It's a lot of work, and I had to work for my family. I was a single mom at that time. And he said, do it. I will help you. And I said, are you sure? And he said, yes. And he loves the Latino community. He always was talking about his daughter-in-law, always. And he said, okay. Let's do it. So he was my treasurer, he fixed my bylaws, he kind of lawyer, he does everything. And when I say, David, are you the co-founder from Alianza Latina Internacional? And he said, no, Martina, no, that's you. statue, and I say, no, but he never let me say that in public, never. So when we fight, we have a lot of fights, and he loves Alianza Latina Internacional because we were everywhere, and fighting everywhere, for salary issues, for housing issues, for immigration issues, everywhere. So he loves the organization, and when we fight for the soldier, Vanessa Guillen, when I told him he's going to be involved, he said, do it. So right away, he sent an email to Sylvia Garcia and to Sheila Jackson and say, let's work together. This organization is going to do it. So we started working on that with David. So now I feel like we lost a big justice fighter. Because I don't know if we're going to find somebody like him. He really work and fight with any other interest but justice. And it's a big loss we don't have right now, but I know he's gonna still keep fighting with us. I know, since he's gonna do it. And Peggy, the sweet lady, I really love to see them together. Sometimes they be like, okay, David, that's enough. But she's still there, right? Supporting us. We have a lot of pictures, beautiful pictures, but we didn't show up. But please, keep David and Peggy memory to alive, because that is going to be helping us to keep on work for justice. He wants justice. All of us want justice, because that's the reason we're here, because one of the fighters is there in front of us. And thank you for letting us stay here, and I know I need one of you to be en la Alianza Latina Internacional. Cristina, a lo mejor tú puedes ayudarnos. And he always pay attention to me because to my accent, but he always say, Martina, I love the way you talk. And I say, no, baby, let me perfect my English. And say, I understand you. So let me say, Francisco wants to say something very quickly, because again, he loves Francisco more than anybody else.
I guess it has to do with the accent, though.
Yeah.
I met Mr. David probably about 5-7 years ago when we started with the organization Alianza Latina Internacional. He always had a smile. He always smiled. It doesn't matter what it was. They were always smiling. It was a characteristic of him. One time I remember I asked him why he wanted to get involved with the Latino community. And he told me, I didn't make you guys. And he told me that because he had a daughter-in-law that was an immigrant. And he saw the struggle. He saw. It's very difficult to understand at that grade, to feel the pain of others. It's something that you gotta learn, I guess. And he told me that. And that's the reason he was involved in the Latino community. So, Christina, he always speak great of you. So, thank you, Mr. Michael, and thank you all for being here.
Look at the nail agenda up here. Kathy Foley, are you here? Are you coming to speak? Kathy, hi. I assume you're next, but I'm not quite sure.
Sophia asked me to speak on behalf of Peggy. Because I know the seriousness of the topics that are going to be discussed here. I decided to work or speak on our relationship. Now, I met Peggy in 1989 at Marinol House in the nascent days of what became Pax Christi Houston. We discovered our birthdays were 3 days apart. Each was an art and antiques lover, and each of us had a spouse seeking a nonviolent world, working in peace and social justice. My husband, Tico, was a conscientious objector in the early 1960s. Then Peggy and I became more constant friends when I was a graduate student at UST 2001 to 2003. We were in daily contact. Over the decades, she and I shared our hopes for our children, our irritations with our boyfriends, disappointments and successes related to our church, and much of the political gritty and goofiness of our lives. Over time, I met each of the children and their grandson, Cavic. Note that there was no Texas Coalition Against the Death Penalty. There was no Journey of Hope from Violence to Healing. There was no HBJC at this time. But because of our relationships and our common interests, the foundation was being laid for many of the social justice activities that bring each of us here today. Now, according to Dave, the early seeds of what he referred to as the beloved community for him and Peggy started when the family moved to the Houston area in the 1970s, before they moved to the house on Kipling. For us Catholics of a certain age, we were in the honeymoon stage of Vatican II. According to Dave, their first home in Texas, in North Houston, in a neighborhood where there were many other Roman Catholics. So in the heady days, we could call a priest friend and have Mass in our homes. We'd invite the neighbors and everybody came in. Dave always spoke admiringly of Peggy's ability to be a wonderful, welcoming hostess and mother of a growing family. Now, my belief is the key word to understanding Peggy is nurturing. The complement to that is ministry. She was a ministering to other kinds of persons. A mutual friend of ours, we four, said we were formed by our ministry, and so she was, and they were. She didn't care about others superficially. She really cared deeply about each individual person. And I think many of us had the same effect with Dave. They were real. They were deep. It wasn't, hello, how are you, mother, look at this way. I've made a few examples of some areas that support what I think is my position on her nurturing, her ministering. First, David always came first. When she and I were out antiquing together or discussing her plans for peace and justice activities on the University of St. Thomas campus, or at Marinol House, or Pax Christi activities in Houston, or Huntsville, or wherever it is, Dave thinks, Dave wants, Dave this, Dave that. Dave was the essential part, she was the essential part of the package that was Dave Atwood. Then came the children. She and I did lawn and art and antique travels to San Antonio, Austin, sometimes with the spouses, other towns around Houston, and within Houston. When we shopped, it was, I think Richard would like this. It was always the other person who was first in her language, which reflected her thinking. It was somebody else. In summer 2001, we drove my daughter back to college in South Bend, Indiana, and we antique shopped at every place along the way. I think it added 4 hours to our trip. And we came back with more pieces of light turquoise Melmac dishes and kitchenware than I thought were ever even made, but that was because her daughter Kathy liked it. Then the students especially. She shared her concerns for the students through the materials she provided in the pamphlets and the one-on-one conversations. She was open to discussion with the students about topics that were difficult to manage, from surprise pregnancies to STDs. She was determined to give out correct information and was peeved when others tried to stop her. I can still hear that sweet nasally voice filled with periodic frustration. Over time, and with a new UST president, this led to the position and the person of nurse at UST being removed at the end of 2004. Her remark was, How can they do that to the students? It was not, how can they do that to me? As a friend, to, with, and for me, she really took up a lot of my time, thank goodness. When we thought my husband cancer had been cured in 2005, it was Peggy and Dave, the art lovers, who suggested we get together to attend the Peter Max exhibit and share one of our usual every 6 weeks dinner engagement at Good Seafood. And it was Peggy and Dave who on June the 9th of 2007 showed up at Memphis Hospital to see Tico. Peggy was not pleased with how the nursing staff had left him as he lay dying, so she immediately started ministering to him. He died within the hour. Although not in the room at the actual time of his death, Peggy and Dave were there. And I think that's the key for so many of us here today. Peggy and Dave were there. They showed up. We all showed up, of course, for marches, protests, and more, but they were always there. And then the animals, as noted in Peggy's obituary, she loved animals, and there were always animals in and around the house. One phone conversation, she canceled dinner because there's fire in Colorado and we have to save the horses. I said, how's your house? I don't care about the house, it's the horses. And guests, now this is when it tickled me when Mike talked about Peggy being forced to go on. Oftentimes there were guests at the Kipling house, and many of you may have stayed there. I don't know the date they moved to Kipling, but one of the stories supporting Dave's idea of building a beloved community occurred when a convicted murderer talked to Dave about being homeless. And so Dave invited him to live with them on Kipling. Dave introduced the man to Peggy, helped the man move in, and went to work. According to Dave, who told the story, Peggy was now home with underage children and a convicted murderer as a permanent house guest with no job. Dave said Peggy asked him to consider how she might feel about that not pre-discussed arrangement. And Dave always added, what was he thinking? So there were some practical differences that occurred where the rubber hit the road of their ideological beliefs of post-Vatican II practicing Roman Catholics. The practical hostess for Peggy's forte. She initiated room reservations at University of St. Thomas for social justice groups. She invited groups to have booths for advertising, social justice focus groups in the Jervik Gym when she learned of options on the university schedule. When Peggy died and Dave said, how am I going to live without her? He was spot on. She was the lifeblood that allowed him to do his public bit to build the beloved community before and during the time that there was an HPJC. It was through the Diocese of Galveston-Houston that Dave initially met, and all of us became friends with Ellen Burns in 1992, and then Herb Rothschild. It was Ellen Burns working with Herb Rothschild in a lively give-and-take relationship that founded HPJC. Ellen, a former nun, was the signatory for the Articles of Incorporation for HPJC in 1998. In the Crooker Center at St. Thomas University, St. Thomas, it was in a room reserved by Peggy that Ellen Burns and Herb Rothschild announced the more formal agreement to create the much-needed Houston Peace and Justice Center. So my house is full of Peggy and Dave memorabilia about our adventures together. It may sound weird to say that it's not that I don't miss them, but they're with me all the time, whether it's a pot we picked up in Boulder or a piece of furniture that she and I picked up going to or from Illinois, just all kinds of little things. Some of the pictures I bought are now at their house in Colorado, and the pictures she bought are at my house. So I'm surrounded by them. And I think to myself of the Atwood's goal of the beloved community. It is inside of me, with the happiness I have had of having known them, that made my husband and me, and I'm sure part of you, all part of their beloved community. We were among their beloved, and they made sure we knew it. Thank you.
Sherry Steinholder from the Healing Racism Institute. Young lady, beautiful friend, please come up.
It was very interesting. When I received the notice about this event in memory of David and Peggy, and my first thought was, well, I guess NRG was booked today. So that's the reason we had to have it at the Mennonite church. I want to say to you, the very first memorial was on Zoom. When I got that invitation, I put it on the calendar. And oh yes, I have to be there. And for some reason or another, I forgot the date.
Oh.
And you will never know the mental trauma that I went through because I forgot that date. It was so bad, I went to Sister Seal, and I even talked to her about the anxiety that I was feeling because I missed that date. I was very happy to know that I got a second chance, that I got a second chance to be here. But let me say to you what I also said to Sister Seal. I did watch part of that memorial service. And yes, I knew about you. I watched it, but I told her, for 35 years in a few months, the Center for the Healing of Racism have existed in Houston, Texas. But as I watched that memorial, my heart was sad when I watched the video. Because I know what David gave to people of color. But as I watched it, it was full of white people. And I was sad about that. And so, Sister Seal said, Cherry, don't beat yourself up. Because it's as if I hadn't worked hard enough in 35 years to make the difference. To make it look like the beloved community that he talked about all the time. And so now I find myself here today. And yes, there are some people of color here. But I'm going to say to you that if you have people in your life that knew Dave, I want you to go back and put them on notice that they should have been here. This room should have been busted with people of color. Because see, I know a lot of the people he helped. But then, with that sadness, there's something that I will say today that probably no one else, with all of the organizations he was affiliated with, can say. I have a picture of Peggy and Dave in my bedroom, king-size bed, my husband, Peggy, Dave, my little dog, and myself. We are watching a documentary together. Now, top that. One of the interesting things is, because I love fried catfish and grits, and I found out that they did too, so I could get on the email, say, hey, y'all want to come over to the house for some catfish and grits? And of course they came. Peggy, I've been to the Kipling house at the invitation of David and Peggy as they cooked for me. So I've heard you talk about carrying on the work of David and Priscilla. But I'm going to say, if we could really feel what he really wanted, the beloved community, all of everything else would get done. The death penalty, the racism, the sexism, the homophobia, all of it would get done if we could just feel the beloved community. And I end with, because I want you to know I was listening when someone talked about how he smiled all the time. And I looked at the program, and there's that smile that you can never hold. I also looked at that program to see that today his memorial is being celebrated on the day he was born, February 3rd. As I looked at this program, I looked at the songs that you chose. When the saints go marching in, and I think that's more than appropriate. The other song, Lay Down My Burdens. And I think at times we all need to find time to just lay down our burdens. But then the other song that had Child, Bella. Oh my gosh, y'all are thinking about me because I very seldom ever say bye. I always say child. And it's interesting how contagious it is within my community of people that I spend my time with. Sometimes they have to add another child to it. Rather than saying child, they say child. So, in looking at this program, the last but not the least, imagine if we could just imagine what the beloved community would look like. Just imagine. And I say in closing, well loved. Now we love, and we keep loving. And I want you to know I love dear Father. I wouldn't be in bed with him otherwise.
I can't top that. Right, yeah, okay, so I think I have to divert from the agenda a little bit. Maria Gerling, are you here? Maria, please come, say something.
Hi, good afternoon. I still feel the deep sorrow because of the death of David and Peggy Atwood. Through David's books, it is not difficult to appreciate the kind of person he was. Of course, he counted on with the support of his wife, Peggy, with him during protests against death penalty, against war, or any other manifestation pro-human rights. We miss them, and I think the best form to reward them is to try to introduce in our churches David's book, Non-Violent People. This book should go to the libraries and to be sold at any church denomination because of its universal content and message of non-violent people, like, for example, Jesus of Nazareth, San Francis of Assisi, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Dorothy Day, Cesar Chavez, Mother Teresa, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and Thich Nhat Hanh. Every page of this book gives hope to humanity to continue living in the troubled world we are living now. I still carry in my wallet a photocopy of page 9 of this book, a very deep prayer and reflection, asking God to change our hearts. I think that for his friends at Houston Peace and Justice Center, it shouldn't be difficult to divulge David's book now when peace is most needed. And if you see page 9 of this book, you'll see a beautiful, beautiful thought that he had. I still have in my wallet. So thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you very much, Maria. And now we're going to hear from Michael again. Michael, do you want to come up?
Hey everybody, I just wanted to add a couple more things, or say a few more words. Again, it's been very, very touching to see all the beautiful stories you shared about my parents. You know, he meant a lot to you guys, and you obviously meant very much to him. So thank you so much again for sharing all your stories. It's just really, really touched me, and also my wife. I did want to mention that the story that Kathy Foley told earlier about the death row inmate recently exonerated coming to stay at our house is absolutely true. A gentleman named Kerry Max Cook, who some of you know made the story about him, was exonerated from death row, and he was out of prison, I think, maybe for 48 hours before he was at our house. And my dad did not disclose this information to my mom that death row inmate, you know, regardless of the fact that, you know, he was innocent, he'd been institutionalized over a period of 20 years, and he was now going to be staying in our garage apartment. And that really freaked my mom out at the time. And as I was a little bit of a juvenile delinquent at that time, so I thought having a, you know, recently exonerated death row inmate stay in our house was actually very cool. That's great. I think that's really, you know, to all my friends, but it really did kind of freak out my mom. But that just kind of gives you a little bit more insight into the dynamics of the relationship, especially when my dad really started veering into the realm of social justice. I also just wanted to say really quickly that, you know, my dad was very, very focused on social justice and peace, but other than that, he was a great father, and I just want to emphasize that. You know, he was a great dad. You know, my memories of him personally, and I'm sure most of your memories of him you'll all have your own personal stories, and a lot of that will be through the networking he did with the various organizations and Houston Peace and Justice Center, Fox Christie. Someone mentioned the Marinal House earlier. I remember that as well. But I mean, me as his son, you know, I remember my dad teaching me how to play basketball in our backyard. I remember him taking me to buy comic books. Those are the things that meant the most to me. And he was a great dad, and he always did those things that you would expect a dad to do. It's so hard to be a dad and spend time with their kids. I think more so nowadays. Having time to raise children, I mean, it's just a luxury a lot of people don't have, and being able to put that time into your kids. My dad always did that. He coached our Little League teams. You know, he attended our baseball games. He did all the sports things that, you know, you see that, you know, maybe you see in movies, but my dad was really doing all those things. He was such a supportive guy. And, you know, I feel very, very thankful to have him as my father, not only because he led by example, he was such a great human being, and he was very conscientious when it came to social justice issues and peace and nonviolence, but he did all those other things that made him such a great dad. And my mom, you know, she was a very loving mom. She made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for me for 9 years straight. When we were going to school, they never gave us us money to buy cafeteria lunches. I was always a little bit envious of the kids who got the money to buy their own cafeteria lunches. My mom was like, nope, you're getting peanut butter and jelly again. So I was raised on peanut butter and jelly almost exclusively from pre-K to 8th grade. And that's the kind of mom my mom was. She always made sure that you were taken care of, and you had clothes, and you had food. I remember my mom used to take me out to, when I was in my teens, this is probably early mid-90s, there was this fashion trend the kids had back then. They used to like to wear really big baggy jeans. There was maybe 2 stores or skate shops in the Houston area that sold that particular kind of clothing. And, I would ask my mom, I really want these jeans. My mom would drive me out to, I guess it was Bay City or one of these places that, are 50, 45 miles outside of Houston. It took about an hour to get there just to get these jeans for us. So, she cared about the fact that, these things were important to us. She was a good mom. She loved us. And, again, I'm going to miss them both very, very much. They were great people. I just want to emphasize that. They were great parents. So, thank you.
What? That's it.
What I understand, the next up is going to be Joanna and Bob. And right before they do, I don't know, many of y'all knew that David and I shared something. It was called cancer. And towards the last of his life, he called me up and asked me, Jeff, I said, we just got out of MD Anderson. I think we were there at the same time some of the times. And he asked me, they want me to take radiation. And I said, well, did they cure your cancer? He goes, yeah, I think they did. He says, but they want to be on the safe side, and they're asking me to go 6 straight weeks for radiation. And I said, wow. And I didn't know what to say. Being a husband for 35 years, I just said, well, I don't know, Dave, what do you think? And well, that was it. With that, Joanna, y'all ready to go? Or? Okay.
Jeff, today is...
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm writing it again. It's not so good. But today is Dave's 83rd birthday.
Is it anything? Okay. All right. Well, as you know, I'm going to take you through Remember Peace Camp, and I was doing Peace Camp pre-pandemic, so that's a few years ago now. And so when Cheryl called me to get a group of Peace Camp kids together to sing, I was like, well, they're not kids anymore, Cheryl. But I still tried. And my daughter is here. We tried to get you. One of the moms, her comment was, a memorial service is a bad excuse to get people together. And my daughter to that said, when I die, I want that to be an excuse to get so many people together. So thank you for being here. And that generation that were kind of born like after World War II and lived through Vietnam, I think you saw war, and you know that you want to make that a point of your life to go out and spread the word about peace, and more people from my generation and younger generation need to continue to be inspired by you guys, because it's so easy to just work your job and live a real small life, but when you see something that needs to be fixed and something you can do about it, I think that's really what's going to make the dream come true. And so this is a song about, I was just looking at the words to Imagine today, and we're living them again. And imagine there's no heaven, it's easy if you try. And my grandpa was a Church of Christ preacher, and I just remember like the last 30 years of he and my grandma's life, they just stayed in their house, and they were like, well, we're going to be in heaven soon. And I think, that's really the problem. And so I'm sorry that you have to continue without your wonderful parents. They were such a gift to this world, and I think that they are continuing to be here through their work. So let's sing this to them, so I hope you can feel these words too.
No
thank you for saying that.
Okay, the one thing I guess, sitting through all the funerals that I have in my life, I know y'all have, it's a very sad affair, but I don't think we should be too sad. Not in this case, not with Dave. I mean, we've all got to go. He didn't go anywhere, we're not going. And I'm surprised he went before me, but that's okay. You know, eventually I'll get there. Eventually we'll all get there. And I think you have to realize when you trade the sorrow, the sadness that you feel without ever having known this person. Say you wiped him out of your entire imagination, your entire life, and he never existed. Would you want that so you don't feel sad when they die? No. You're going to want this as part of us. We live each other. We're all bits and pieces of each other that we come in contact with. And I've met some amazing people, thanks to your dad. You know? Sister Seal, I wouldn't know you. Jimmy, Joe, I wouldn't know you. And Tom, sorry, my brain was no good. Erica and Tori, yes. Anyway, Tom, that's it. Yes, from Bray, yes. That's it. I couldn't have a name tag on. I don't know who I was. So I kind of, like I said, I apologize for the emceeing and the poor quality of it, but that's the best I got. You know? So I know a lot of people wanted to say some stuff about Dave and what they do. Do we have time? Bill, do we have time to let a few people come up and say something?
We have about 15 minutes before we have to start cleaning up.
Well, you want to say something? Okay, one person, we have two people. We have 15 minutes, 2 people. So you got 5, keep it to 2 minutes. Cut you off at 5. The hook comes out and get pulled off the stage.
Hi, for those of you who know me, my name is Lee. I was the director for Amnesty International for about, it would be 2012 to 2019. Better? Yeah. Okay. All right, I was the director of Amnesty International from about 2012 to 2019, and I owe that all to Dave. Actually, the first time I met him was back in, I want to say 2008, and then later on, as we became familiar with each other, our paths crossed, and there were many parades. I know we marched together with MLK. Even whenever I was a college professor at HCC, I had him come over a few times to speak to my kids about the death penalty and stuff like that. So he follows in the steps of Steve Rogers, Captain America. He belongs up there. So yeah, you kind of are a member of Justice League or whatever you want to call that. And I was just grateful to have him. His wife, Peggy, she was my school nurse whenever I was a wee undergrad. So I was great to know both of them, and I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for him. So I'm grateful, as many of you are, to have him in my life. So.
My name is Ted Weisskull, and usually I'm very long-winded. I'm glad I only have 2 minutes because I don't have a really long story to tell. But the story I want to tell is that early in the days of the Houston Peace and Justice Center, I got on a committee with the aforementioned this afternoon, Ellen Burns. And my job was to meet with her and to find a new director for the Houston Peace and Justice Center, or maybe his title was president. And Ellen said, well, there's this guy I know, his name is David Atwood. And so I had the privilege through Ellen of meeting Dave. And it was an immediate yes. This organization that was floundering needed a calm presence, and he was the person we selected. I thank Ellen Burns for introducing me to Dave Atwood. Sadly, they are both gone, but it was her suggestion that I think catapulted the Houston Peace and Justice Center forward for many, many years.
Is everybody else whose name I'll probably forget? No, I don't think so. So I think we'll close it if that's okay. Does anybody have any objections? You know, stand up for peace. So thank you for coming, and thank you for putting up with me.
We
spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.